Hello and welcome to the Binge Thinker. My name is Jameel Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here as always. On today's episode, I'm dressed up like a dark fucking wizard and I'm going to take you through the new Binge Thinker studio. A couple of weeks ago, I encountered some lovely furniture. I've been thinking about a redesign of the set for some time now to create some space in my house dedicated to creating content and for podcasting. By the great spirits that be and some great synchronicities that has happened in the last fortnight. I'm very excited to share with you what this all looks like. And you're going to get to know me a bit as well. I've amalgamated a lot of what I'm about and a lot of who I am in this space. Talk you through it, the detailed designs, get to know me through my stuff. Bit of show and tell, be a bit of fun. Talk about some milestones as well later on the pod. But for now, let me take you through a tour of the new Binge Thinker studio. So for a bit of background, I live in a 3-story townhouse. And now you hear 3-story townhouse, I'm a guy that's on my own. You think, oof, big man's fucking living it up. It's a very vertical townhouse. It's not a lot of floor space. It's 3 levels tall, but it's probably as wide as most people's lounge rooms. It's not that big. Right, and one of the spaces is a dedicated office because I work from home. But I've been in this apartment for the last couple of years now. I've been in this house the last couple of years now, trying to make a space for content and content creation. And never really had a dedicated spot. People who have seen the pod on video for a while would know that I've hopped around from place to place trying to figure it out. But again, I think I mentioned this last week or the week before. I was thinking about these desks. I was thinking about this new space, and I needed a shelf, a couple of new shelves. Hang on. So what I said on previous episodes was that I was thinking about my new space. Needed a couple of more of these sort of cube, sort of storage shelf cubes. I don't know what you call them. It's basically a cube with 4 segments in it and you stuff things in there. I needed a couple of those. I got a couple of shitty small ones from Kmart. And then, lo and behold, I'm going for a walk a couple of weeks ago, injured bicep in hand, and 3 of these bad boys just are on the lawn of a chiropractor's. Just say, with a sign on it says, free, take them. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So I've got one of these, and then I've got 2 more with some drawers in them in one of the corners. But as you can see here, it's the perfect amount of space for putting all of my stuff in, right? And then, to take a backward step, the overall design of what I wanted to do with this recording space and the pod is really just be a space that screams me. I don't say screams, but very much says me, a full spread of who I am and where I've come from, a space to really show off my personality and my background and stuff. Funnily enough, I thought of this the other day, which is, I don't know if it's ironic or synchronous. The 2 different sides of my studio now represent the left and right hemispheres of my brain, which is very, very, it's got to be synchronous given the nature of this podcast, because the left side of your brain is known as your logical side, and that actually dictates movement in the right side of your body. And our right side of our brains are also known as our creative brains, which dictate the left side of our body. So funnily enough, my left brain ends up on my right, having all of my books and my knowledge and the wisdom that I've acquired over my time. And then on my left to your right, but my right brain, is the creative side, which is mostly focused around music. But, I'm not going to put a fucking stand-up comedy mic there or something like that. That's dumb. Get one of those old school Elvis mics, that silvery sort of mic. I'll chuck it up in the clip. You know what I mean. So from a tech perspective, it's pretty low tech. I've got some LifeX strips that give the cool colors for backlighting. I've got this handy dandy candle, which is on one side. just got a key light in the front. The videography nerds will understand what I'm talking about. It's basically the standard of video composition nowadays. Everyone wanted the ring light because I thought it was cool and it was the easy way to make content. That's actually a really shitty way to make proper videos and content, as I've learned, right? I've made the same mistake plenty of times. But hey, that's one for the nerds, which are pretty much a lot of people on this podcast. So I'm maybe going from the top down of what this area represents to me. Funnily enough, so I've got a teddy bear, I've got a Buddha statue, and I've got Einstein's balls, Newton's balls. I should have looked that up before the pod. On the top shelf, right? And so what happened, so for a bit of background, the statue and the bear I've actually had as long as I can remember. The teddy bear was given to me, I think it was my first bear when I was a baby, I think a newborn, and I loved this thing as a kid. It was, that stuffed bear that you had growing up. You'd play with it, your imagination would run wild with it. He was in storage for a little while until quite recently. What happened is that my garage flooded. I had to take all the shit out of there and repack it. He was amongst the carnage. Thankfully, he got away unscathed. And I was like, bro, you're not hanging around in the depths of my old memories anymore. You got to come to the forefront, right? You got to be part of something. You got to be in the, on display. And, I actually don't have a name. I know you're probably thinking, what's the bear's name? I don't actually have a name for him. I do kind of call him Ted, but I've never really had the concept of naming anything that belongs to me. My car, cars are always female. Called it Falky, which is my old Ford Falcon. I have an Audi. I don't have a name for it now. The bear is just the bear. I don't need a name. We've got a connection, With the Buddha, I don't even know the origin stories of that Buddha. It was just in my parents' house growing up. Always thought it was cool. Was pretty mesmerized by it. And when it came to cleaning out the house and moving out, I was like, hey, I'll take it. I've just had an affinity for it. And quite ironically now, in recent times, he seems to be watching over me in good faith, particularly around my own spiritual journey. So I can't help but think that he might be the thing that's sort of keeping a watch over me, With the Newton's balls, I just was obsessed with them as a kid. My cousin had one in his house when I was a kid. So the balls, they're supposed to showcase the transfer of force. It's Newton's cradle. There it is. Fucking hell, it's Newton's cradle. And what it represents is this cool way that we to demonstrate the transfer of force, right? So if I give it a clicky clack now, you can hear that in the background. You can see how it's interesting that the momentum transfers through the other balls into the other one and creates impact and influences the outer one, even though it does not directly touch it. And that's just something that I just thought was really intriguing as a kid and continue to every time I've seen it. So I bought one of my own quite recently, just for the lols, and just wanted to have somewhere cool to put it. So I chucked it up here. Pardon me, I have a bit of a slight cough. And I just thought it'd be a cool thing to put up. But then, ironically, and again, this could be the medication talking, puff puff, I really like what this area does as far as how would you put it? It sort of showcases the idea that we switch between baby to Buddha and vacillate that between various elements of our lives in various ways. In some parts of our life, maybe we are the baby. We're febrile, we're young, undeveloped, right? Immature. But then we vacillate between these states of, goddess or godlike power, which is what the Buddha had always had, these enlightened states. But we never have enlightenment as a permanent state. It always goes between back and forth and back and forth. Such is the principle of rhythm and the ebb and flow of life that exists in all things. So, again, the medicine talking to me. I saw that and I go, that's a pretty cool way of defining life, eh? So that's the top line there. The what's it called? The banister, the cloth that's over the storage cube. I just got that from Savers. I was like, you know what? I'm a guy that doesn't like dust because I got a lot of allergies. I'm suffering through hay fever right now. I was like, I don't want to have a surface where dust can show up easily. Let me just throw something over this thing because I'm probably never going to dust it because I'm lazy. So I got this cool African looking thing. It was like 15 bucks. I was like, sweet, chuck it on top. Looks good. Now, the top line row of books that you see there is an amalgamation of the things that I've read over time. And really, knowledge in books, as you would know on this pod, has been a constant in my life. I've sort of moved away from knowledge and acquiring that through books for a while there. I was an avid reader as a kid, loved all the Harry Potter books, loved Asterix, where you can see some Asterix here. These are actually some of the newer versions of Asterix. These are I think, newer versions. Unfortunately, I think they're both dead now. Goscinny and Uderzo, a couple of French artists for the Asterix collection. I'll chuck them over the side for now. But I thought it'd be a good place to accumulate all my knowledge into one place because I have been buying a lot of books. And to be honest, I haven't read a lot of these. I'll be real. Some of them I have, some of them I intend to, which will be part of the podcast in later iterations. But I also just didn't have a place to put books because I was buying all these books for various reasons. I thought it was useful to accumulate this wealth of knowledge, but just didn't have anywhere to put it. It was just piling up. So I thought, hey, why not look a little bit more intelligent than I actually am and put them all in one place? And they kind of look pretty aesthetic as well. It makes me look knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than I am. Makes me look smart in the process. Or it makes me look, well put together. Probably a better way to put that. So they're there. So the books that I have read the most, ironically, in this stack is actually the Anthony Kiedis biography, Scar Tissue. I'm a massive Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. There's going to be a lot more stuff of me playing bass in the near future, just as a bit of fun, just to get back into the swing of things. Big Chili Peppers fan. Loved the autobiography. I've also got Flea's autobiography, who's the bass player, down in the second row, but it's not really in the frame. We'll talk about that later if we need to. Some of the books that we will talk about in future are here as well, such as The Great Mental Models. You're talking about maybe even things like The Power of Now, which is something that I should have read given how spiritual and how, in the now and how present I'm trying to be. But just haven't gotten around to it. I know it's transformative. I know how much people have really enjoyed it. And I'm sure I'll take something from it as well. It's just, some things you're like, yeah, I'll get to it. And you never do. And I know it'll be good for me. And it'll be, in time. I think probably the other next most interesting thing that I've got here is the Quran. Now, I was raised Muslim, not really Islamic or religious anymore. I am some sort of shaman, as you can fucking tell by these sweet-ass robes. But I just thought, it's important to keep a piece of me here. There's part of me that's going, am I going to cop some fucking heat for having the Quran just on the same level of all these books? But I go, you know what? It's not like it's a nice Quran. It's a Quran with Arabic text with English meanings. It's like going, hey, white people, this is what the Quran says. That was kind of part French, part Arabic. Maybe it's like a Moroccan, maybe. What was it? The Moors? Not the Moops, the Moors. Yeah, and I think that's really about it for the top shelf. Some other stuff. Another couple of great books that are here are these books by Young Pueblo. So, Inward, fantastic book. I think I put a really shitty TikTok up about it on my TikTok, of all places, a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic book for really just being understood in the healing and transformation process. They're just a collection of short stories and poems, but every single page, or almost every single page, is just, you know, when you go on like Facebook or, you know, on your socials and you just see a quote. I'm a guy that's a sucker for a quote. And you just be like, isn't that true? I align with this. And yeah, I do that shit too, all right? I'm not going to fucking deny it. And that's what this book is. You know, just amazing little notes. And you think of, I mean, also, for young Pueblo, look how big this book is. I think most of the pages are like this, right? Most of the pages, he's got a fucking paragraph on a standard paperback book. This guy's making the most money of words to fucking book out of anyone, right? His fucking words to money ratio in this book is insane. That's just the beauty of the aesthetic, I believe. You know, I just flipped on a random page. Here's just another great quote from here, right? From Young Pueblo's Inward. Real life began when we both stopped expecting and instead focused on giving. Now, I mean, that's just a great way to put that. When we focus on the other, and yeah, it really speaks for itself, but instead of trying to create a situation of expectation in a partner of what they think they'll bring to our lives, really just about allowing ourselves to be present with them and give our best capabilities and our best gifts to them in the process. Again, just a nice little bit of wisdom, right? Anything else? Let's take another roll of the dice. Here we go. Self-love is the beginning, an essential centerpiece that opens the door to unconditional love for yourself and all beings. I mean, what can we take with that? Straight away, what comes to my mind is the idea that, I mean, it is the beginning, right? He's absolutely right. Without a perception of love inside yourself for who you are and who you're becoming and what you are, and appreciating that, it's very difficult to love other things, because there is this inequity inside yourself of why should other things be loved and not me. But if you start that process of actually loving yourself and appreciating who you are in the process of that, then your perception of life changes and your lens clears, right? And that gives you the ability to be more open-hearted to the world and the world around you. And for all beings, I don't know if it's unconditional, but it certainly is the practice of the highest ideal of love, isn't it? To love unconditionally. So again, fantastic book, worth a read, worth buying. You know, it's on the shelf. It's this right corner here is definitely like the elite section, right? So all the big stuff in my life. So for example, The Alchemist, great book. That's number one. Should be number one. It's just in there. But a great book about the hero's journey. Probably do another episode on that as well. Own the Day, Own Your Life. As you know, I'm a big fan of Aubrey Marcus and what he does and how living an optimized lifestyle. The Great Mental Models, we will do a long series about that, about first principle thinking. That'll be the future of this podcast, actually. It'll be a mental toolkit. I was thinking about this just yesterday. A mental toolkit for all of the, you know, the aphorisms, the tools, the books, the resources that I've just found really interesting and engaging, and just sharing and talking to you about it. Very much like I did just then, about riffing on a couple of these phrases from Jung's book. I don't know if it's Jung or Young, but I like calling him Jung. Maybe it's just Young, like Young Gravy or some shit. I don't know. I'm fucking 32. I don't know who these Youngs are. I'm old. What else have we got? We've got Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, big fan of Stoicism, as you know. Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up. Great book, great read, very autobiographical, because it's an autobiography, idiot. Jim Quick's Limitless, another fantastic book on self-optimization, about learning how to learn and learning efficiently. Jim Quick's stuff is absolutely fantastic if you're an avid learner or you think you are not smart enough to achieve whatever it is in your life. I've come back to Jim's stuff a lot over the years. He's got some great formulas on getting things done. And again, getting meta on your learning ability, not just learning efficiently, but how you learn and what your brain, how your brain actually functions in the process of learning and how it can optimize that. Really, really useful stuff. And again, for the learning nerds like myself, really interesting. We've got Scar Tissue, and then we've got this also, this book of Jeff Buckley. So Jeff is my favorite artist and musician of all time. I was introduced to Jeff when I was, oh man, I must have been 9, 10 years old by my cousin Sam. She really got into Jeff, and because we were really close, I vicariously got into Jeff because of her. And his influence has been amazing on me as a musician, as an artist. His bass line from one of his songs, Last Goodbye, which is one of the reasons why I bought this book specifically, is what got me to playing music when I was 12 years old, when I got joined high school. So we'll talk about more about music later on and about my history about it. But Jeff's influence as a musician, as an artist of my life, very, very, very influential. I guess is the only way to put that. Even so much so that, let me just reach for this down here. I won't go to the bottom shelf because it's not that interesting, but even this canvas I've had of Jeff since I was about 17, 18 years old. It's not an original by any, I just saw it on eBay back in the day, thought it looked cool, bought it, got it shipped across, and now it's a permanent staple of any aspect or every house that I live in here on 4th. And again, he was hiding behind a fucking shitty door. Just, you know, for some reason people put hooks behind doors, not on the door itself, but in the wall behind the door, so you can't fucking see it if the door was closed. So again, I haven't really given some of my most treasured belongings the most respect that they deserve, in my opinion. So it's very nice to have them here, all in one place, to showcase who I am as an individual. Very nice. All right, let's kick on to the other side of the room, which is Le Musical Instrumenta. All right, so we have come to Le Musical portion of the new studio. So what we've got here is my rig, as we musos like to call, my setup. Now this big chunky boy here is my Warwick Pro Fet 4. It is a 400 watt bass amp. I've been playing bass guitar since I was 12 years old. I started in high school as part of the high school music program at Roval Secondary. I always was interested in music, was always really into it as a kid. And then as part of the program, I thought, hey, why not get into music? I was either going to play trumpet or bass. I got into bass because of Jeff Buckley's Last Goodbye bass line and my influence, and Jeff's influences me, you know, as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, which is very strange, right? He's got very very complex sentimental, I finally got that word out, emotional music. Something that's, you know, he was, for his time, way, way older and way more pure as an artist. When he released his first album, Grace, in '95, he was only like 26, 27 years old, younger than me. And it is a musical masterpiece that has influenced people like Radiohead, Coldplay, basically every major artist over the last 20 years, particularly those who sing in falsetto, who are more of the alternative stream of music, will have known or appreciated Jeff's music in his amazing but tragically short career. He died a few years later in, I forgot where, the Wolf River, I'm pretty sure it's called. Sort of escapes me at the moment, but tragically cut short as a musician, but his influence has been felt and heard even for generations such as now, right? So before I was a tech tinkerer in, you know, in my later years and my adult years in high school, I was a bit of a music nerd. So from 12 to 13, 14, 15, all of high school, really all of high school, I loved music. I was part of all the music programs. I was one of the best bass players in Roval Secondary College. I was definitely the best bass player of the year. There was one fucking big oafy cunt called Matt Bellinger, and I'm calling him out right now. Matt Bellinger, you big fat fucking oaf. They used to bully me because he thought that he was the better bass player, even though I was more technically precise, and he was in other bands. It was just weird high school antagonism, right? But he was probably a good head taller than me. He was a fat kid too, but he tried to play it off like he was just like, I don't know, not like fluffy or, just tried to be a big boy. I think he disguises it now as trying to be a power lifter, but it's just an excuse for being a fat cunt. And there I said it, you're a fat cunt. There's a bit of trauma wind out for you. Anyway, so when I was a musician, this bass here is one of my prides and joys. My Squire Jazz bass. It's a 4-string passive bass. Now, 4-string is the standard for most electronic basses. I actually prefer to play a 5-string, which is a low beat, gives you some of that grunt, gives you some of that because I was a big metal and alternative musician. I was into rock. I was into not heavy metal and metal, like hard rock. I wasn't we're talking like from 2003 to 2008 was my high school years. So that was very much the emo and hardcore phase of music, or popular music. I was not into emo or hardcore. Never rocked a mad fringe or never had the snake bite piercings, no tats. I was busy just playing slap bass and, playing Metallica, a bit of thrash with my mates Rick and Francis in our garage. And we just fucking loved it, man. We absolutely loved playing music together. We had no concept of damaging our eardrums back then because we would play loud thrash music. I bought a shitty drum kit on eBay, when I was like 15, and it'd be me, Rick, and Francis on weekends, just playing at full volume with the door closed, just loud as fuck. Just we would have the best time, and we just walk out at the end of the day with our earbuds absolutely ringing. Just think nightclub, hugging the speaker after pingers. Oh, fuck. Now you're going to feel that in your ears, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But why this bass is so special to me in particular is that I did a lot of stuff to this bass. Again, being the tinkerer that I am, I got this bass off Daniel Pendlebury, a good friend of mine who was actually on an earlier version of the pod. Shouts to Dan, he knows this story very well. His uncle used to play bass. This bass was just sitting in his garage doing sweet fuck all for a very long time. And he offered it to me through Dan for like $250 a hard case. And I was like, well, I think I gave him an offer of like 200 or 250 bucks for it. And I didn't know what it was worth at the time. That's just what I could afford as a 16-year-old, working barely my first job at Coles at the time in the shopping centers, being a dairy fairy. And he's like, yeah, that'll do. I mean, it was in very bad condition when I bought it. But what I found out later on is that this particular model of Squire, now Squire is the budget version of Fender, which you would probably know is ubiquitous with artists and musicians all over the world. But this particular type of Squire was the first one that was crafted in Japan. Now, Japanese people, they know how to make a fucking thing. They enjoy the craftsmanship. So this was widely regarded as a Fender quality bass, even though it was branded as a Squire back in the day. So apparently it was worth a lot more than I had paid for it. But I didn't fucking know that. I only found that out until afterwards because there was no such thing as the internet was in its early stages. There weren't these experts and all this information everywhere. I have found this out by giving the serial number, which is in the back of the bass, to a forum. I used to go on message boards for bass guitarists and bass music back in the day, and they gave me this story, and I was like, oh fuck, this actually could be worth a bit more. I think it's worth over $1,000. I think it's close to $1,500, which is, even by musical standards, not that much. A good bass or a good guitar, like a quality industry standard one nowadays, it costs $3,000 to $4,000 for a decent one. So it's not like I'd fucking, taken this for a steal. But Dano, And if he's listening to now, go fuck yourself, idiot. Um, Dano was like, "Oh, you ripped me off. You stinged me on it." And I'm like, "Bro, I didn't know. I found this art after the fact." And it's not like it's only worth $1,500 if I sell it, right? I've kept this bad boy for now about 15, 16 years, right? It's been my main bass ever since. And this is my Franken bass. I started tinkering around with it when around the same time I bought it, actually. So what I used to do, being an enterprising young man, which is sort of, is a nice little crumb into who I am now. When I was 15, 16, 17, I would go on eBay and flip basses. Because back in the day, those days, people would just chuck shit up like it was a garage sale. They didn't know what it was worth. They just wanted something for it. This is before people knew what things were worth, and we're trying to get as much of a deal as they can through things like Marketplace or just the internet giving the information of what things were worth. So I used to flip basses, and then with the money I would buy components. So again, for the music nerds in here, what I've done to this is I've put a hip shot drop D tuner on this. What this means is in one flick, I can drop that E to a D, which is very convenient for the heavier styles of music that I was playing. I have put also a badass bridge on this. So it's this little fucker here. And what a badass bridge does is it provides more surface area for the strings to resonate against the wood of the bass and gives it a more heartier and meatier tone. So what I've also done is I put strap locks onto the strap. I've had multiple iterations of different straps over my time. I had to clean up all of the electronics and basically rewire it. I've had to put copper shielding in this thing because basically this thing could just explode at a moment's notice because all the electronics are shot and from the fucking 80s, right? So because of my affinity with it, also this little taggy thing on the head of it is just a knick-knack that my cousin made for me, so I thought it looked cool on the bass. So I've had that as part of my collection. I will never sell it. It's an essential piece of who I am as a musician. I do, again, prefer 5-string basses and active pickups, again, for the music nerds. They'll know what that means. But as a representation of who I am and my musical background, I just thought it'd be a great thing to put up because it looks fucking sweet too. And then, coming back to this amplifier here, this was when I used to do gigs. Obviously, bass, you need some doof, you need some power. So I got a 400 watt head here and this 4x10 cabinet. So the cabinet has 4 10-inch speakers. It's very boxy because you need the resonance of the bass frequencies to actually, resonate really and fucking get out there. It needs to vibrate off things and needs that big space to reverberate off. I also have a 15-inch cabinet. 15-inch cabinet in my garage, which is currently water damaged because of that same flooding we were talking about before. So when I used to stack this up, this used to be a beefy fucking boy, right? Because the cabinet's the same size. So for the people that are listening on the audios, which is a very bad idea given that I'm talking non-stop about things that are around me. This cabinet is about 60 by 60 centimeters and probably about the same. It's pretty close to a cube. So it's big and they're about 25 kilos each. So once you've got these two cabinets and the head stacked up, you're looking at a very heavy, very beefy amp stack that's about, 130 centimeters tall? It's over a meter tall when it's at full capacity. And this thing will fucking shake a house when I put it on full ball. It's got grunt. Now, as a bass player, that's what I want. You want to be felt, right? You want to be fucking feeling that groove. You want bitches swaying, right? There's a great quote I remember. The girls might be looking at the star, but their asses are shaking to the bass guitar. But most people really say, what's a bass player? What's the bass? I can't hear the bass in a song, and that hurts. That hurts. So yeah, I won't go into the details of how I mix and master my bass sound because I don't really do that anymore. I will get back into that soon. And then plumped on top of it is just a cool looking IKEA candle holder with a candle in it. I might change that around. I just thought it looked cool. I needed something to fill this sort of space. Maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't. Not a big deal, but I thought it'd be a nice way to cap off everything that's here. And is that about it? Yeah. Oh, let's just talk about the plant real quick. Um, the plant, which is you'll see in the main shot, it's just a fucking monstera, right? I got it on a what did I get it? I got it at like one of those, a Facebook page for like your apartment block, where you sort of like communicate with other people without having to talk to them, which is fucking great. That's one of the best uses of Facebook is those little groups for like small houses, apartment blocks, just ways to communicate without having to deal with people around you all the time. That might sound antisocial, but it's convenient, right? That's the whole benefit of social media. Anyway, someone was selling for like 20 bucks. I was like, that's a deal. Let's go. Just have to go down the elevator, pick it up, 20 bucks cash. We're done. And I've taken pretty good care of it, which is surprising. I've got a pretty good heat ratio when it comes to raising plants. I've got a pretty neat worm farm at the moment. I just harvested some nice worm poo, which is basically just high quality soil casings, and put them on some plants, and they are looking mwah. So anyway, that's the tour for now. This is Casa del Finca, and very excited to keep broadcasting things for you from here and then on. If you've got any ideas, any design ideas, anything that you think I should chuck in, let me know. Hey, I think this is pretty good for a straight man to put together, personally. I mean, let's be real. I'm surprised I'm not gay either, if you probably listen to this podcast long enough. But we'll talk about that in a sec, eh? And to close off the app today, binges, I just want to reminisce on a little milestone. Over the last week, Footscray Comedy Club turned 2 years old, which is a really... where the fuck has the time gone? Really? It's nice to take a fucking second and think back about all the things that Sam and Maddie and I have achieved over the last 2 years. I mean, what started as really just a way to do gigs post-pandemic, I think it was after the second lockdown, major lockdown, or maybe it was the first major lockdown, we put the show on and it sold out. People were excited. I think we only fit like 20 in because of the restrictions at the time. We sold out all 3 shows. Comics were keen to get back on there. I was very hesitant to run shows again after the absolute nightmare that was running an open mic, a dog shit open mic called Mad Dog. But Sam found the venue. It was a cool space for it. And I thought he thought we could make it work. And I was like reluctant. I was going, okay, well, let's give it a shot. I mean, it's a small 20, 30 seated gig. What's the worst that could happen? And then on, it's grown into a bit of a monster in some ways, but a good monster. What's that? A well-intentioned dragon. And we've had to turn it back or wheel it back a little bit to just be this great little pocket of comedy and joy, really. I mean, we've worked so fucking hard at this club and growing it over the last 2 years. We've done about 30 to 40 gigs since then, multiple venues, heaps of sold out shows, so much planning, and we haven't taken a fucking cent. At its worst, Sam and I are probably working an extra 30 to 40 hours per month in content, in organizing the room, marketing, a lot of admin, particularly when we did the outdoor shows, putting the proposal together because it was through the council. Learning how to put together good content, learning how to run a room efficiently because we didn't know how to do it really. Running an open mic and running a curated room is completely different things. People just show the fuck up and you hope that an audience comes. With a curated room, you put on a good show and you make people come through good marketing. And since then, it's just been this, it's just it's starting to really come into its own now. Um, it's just a really nice experience for everyone that's involved, I think. I'm really proud of what the club has become. Jambo as a show, I don't even have to worry about it anymore as far as selling it out. It just sells itself. We have made that experience so good and thought about every detail, and through that, creating a great experience, it just brings other people in. And we turn over a new audience almost every show. We have return customers, which is great. We do have some regulars, but knowing that we have a new customers, and there's word of mouth, and our learning how to do things like social media ads and marketing, it's just paid off. So now we just get to sit back and create a great comedic experience for people. Every fortnight now. The house is full. People have a good time. We get heaps of great feedback. If I think about all the work that we've gone into just Jambo alone, I curate the playlist. All the marketing that we've done. We've created every single ad by hand. All the content clips that Sam puts together. Like, it's work. And I keep telling people, don't expect to make money on it. We make a little bit, but we don't take it. It's a passion project. It's for the love of the game. And then, yeah, I might take a second there to stop and thank Sam and show my appreciation for that lovely chocolate man. He's going to hate that. But, it's funny. Sam and I's relationship, it has grown immensely over the last couple of years. From just fellow comedians to co-room runners to business partners. And, he's like a brother to me now. He really is the closest thing that I have to a brother outside of my actual family and my own blood. He's integrated into my family. He's a keeper of my secrets and mine for him. And he is the yin to my yang. He is a much more slower individual, versus the rapid pace that I have. And that's caused a lot of conflict. Right? I call him my brother because we have argued, probably like brothers in some ways, over the time. I know I'm a cunt to deal with. I'm a fucking hard ass to deal with. And he's going to love hearing that. That's been the driving force. I can't deny that I've been the driving force and he's been the centering force. But that's just the nature of who I am. And we've had to, sort of work through our problems and our differences over time. But the work speaks for itself and the outcomes speak for itself. So, yeah, Sammy, I know you'll listen to this. Thank you for the work. Thank you for what we've created together. It couldn't be done without you. The club started because of you, and I don't take credit for it. You came up with the idea, and I ran with it, basically. So, yeah, I'm just really grateful for what the club has become when it comes to Jambo. And Sam, thank you. I love you. I love you dearly. And let's keep growing Jambo and FCC together. I'm looking forward to it. And all the hard work that you've had and we've put in is finally paying off for you now. And I'm really excited. I'm really proud to see it, my man. And then we've got Pride. Pride is a weird one. It's funny, right? But again, it's just been a really good experience. It's strange, right? Let's just call it out. Having a straight guy run a queer comedy show, pretty weird. And people ask me, like, why? Why the hell do you run this? And it goes back to the ethos of what the club is meant to be. Our ethos when it came to comedy in general, mine and Sam, and now Maddie, is that Comedy is just about people connecting in a room and laughing together. It doesn't matter what color you are, what creed, what gender, what race. The connective tissue in that experience is laughter and connecting as one. So I go, why can't I run a show? I know how to run the show well. Okay, it's got a queer element to it because that's what the bar wants. Sure. That's why we recruited Maddie into the team, because I know that it looks dumb and oppressive to have a straight guy run a queer room and sort of navigate that complexity. But again, they're great fucking shows. They're a lot of fun, and I get the same amount of fulfillment and excitement out of a show going well at Pride. It is nice to see people have a space where they can be appreciated and acknowledged and be comfortable for who they are and have a space to relate. Because I might not be queer, but I know what it means to be, made fun of, to feel like an outsider, to be judged unfairly and discriminated against for who I am with something that's not in my control. So to be able to create a space where I am responsible for the joy and excitement of not just the people at Pride, but at Jambo as well, for a space that people can escape and have a new perspective and have fun, that means a lot to me. It means a lot. And, I'd love to thank Maddie for their efforts in building Pride Up, and also thank the people at Pride Up Footscray Bar. Matt and the team have been so supportive, have stuck in despite all the challenges. They believe in the show. They market it with us. They're every step of the way. And yeah, I'm really just wanted to reflect and take a moment, and I'll put some highlights up, either on this video or maybe in the social somewhere, about some of the great things that we've done, right? In 2 years to go from, a 15-person show to well over 100 per month now we're clearing. We've had gigs that have had 120, 150 people. We've done gigs for the city of Maribyrnong. We've done fundraisers. Thousands of people have enjoyed our shows. Thousands of good experiences. Countless laughter. Comedians love being a part of the show. Like, it's hard work, but everyone wins from it. Everyone wins. And, it might sacrifice mine and Sam's time and effort and Maddie's time as well to get it to where it needs to be. But hey, I get to create a room full of joy for a little bit of time. And I've always said this, I'm not in the comedy industry, I'm in the joy industry. So being able to, create that space, create that experience for people, which is aligned to my values and who I am as an individual and what I want to create on this planet, in this lifetime, in this experience of consciousness, it feels good. It feels good. And my individual passion for comedy might ebb and flow as a comedian, but knowing that I create a great experience for people, along with a great team, creating comedy for the community, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. It's one of the best. And I'll keep doing it until I find a reason not to. So happy birthday, Footscray Comedy Club. I'm proud of what we've done. And yeah, let's see how many more gigs, how many more laughs we can squeeze out before the times keep a changing. All right, folks, on that sappy, sentimental note, that is the podcast for another week. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to share some love for the podcast, please like, subscribe on the YouTubes, on the TikToks, on the, give us a 5-star review on the interwebs, wherever you receive this show. Next week, I've got a fantastic interview with Jared Goundry, former soldier, current comedian, another hustler, great dude. And then after that, we will start moving into the mental toolkit, where I will start talking about books and theories and concepts and really get into the binge thinkery stuff, which is what I kind of did at the start of this podcast, start of the year. I'm going to circle back to that and really hone in on that mental toolkit part, because it's a fantastic source of content for me instead of thinking for shit every week. And also, it fits into a bigger picture of what I'm trying to do next. I'm always scheming, always thinking. But anyways, bingers, thank you for your time and attention. I have been the Dark Wizard. I'll see you next week. Ciao for now.